Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar titled Design Meets Function. I'm Jim Olson with the National Tile Contractors Association. I want to welcome you and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend today's webinar sponsored by Schluter Systems. Before I introduce today's speaker, I want to remind you that during the webinar, you will be muted. Please use the questions area on your computer to type in your questions, and we'll answer those questions at the end of this presentation. If the audio on your computer is poor, call the number on the invite to this webinar and listen on your phone. All NTCA webinars are available to watch at any time on the NTCA YouTube channel shortly after each webinar is presented. This gives you easy access to watch and or share all current and past programs at your convenience. All right, it's my privilege to introduce today's presenter, Andy Acker, although it says Andrew. I don't call him Andrew, but we'll go with that. He's a Schluter Systems Director of Education, where he's developed the educational program and is the lead presenter at the Innovation Workshops. His focus is developing workshops and classes that provide the tiling community with access to industry-approved tiling methods and an overview of how Schluter products can increase the durability of these installations. Before joining the company in 1997, Andrew was a tile installer for 20 years, with over half of his experience as a California State C54 licensed tile contractor. Andrew also serves on the board of directors for the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation. Welcome, Andy. I look forward to your presentation.
Well, thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. I was just doing the math when you said I joined in 97 and I got 20 years experience. That makes me one of the OGs. We'll just call them that. You and I were original gangsters. We won't say we're old guys. How's that? You're all right? So welcome everybody. I'm certainly glad you could take the time, as Jim said, to join us here in the workshop and see what we have to say here. So I'm just going to get going. The whole idea of this presentation is, let's see, I got to get rid of this screen. There we go. Oops. Let's try that one. There we go. Yeah. So what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about this whole idea of design meets function. Really, the theme is about, with all of the design elements that the consumer or the architect or designer wants to incorporate into the projects, many of those in the past were hard to achieve the function, the performance, the waterproofing, if you will, that you would also be required to have. So that's really where there's these new innovations and these new products that are on the market that are readily available and being used quite often are actually going to be the solution to getting the design the consumer wants, that you want, plus the function that's required in this particular environment. So let's talk about some of these trends, some of the challenges and so forth, and then we'll take a look at some of the shower systems that are out there. And then we'll look at some other design elements too that will just enhance the design and the atmosphere that you have in this environment. So take a look at this picture here, 1930s bathroom. A lot of the stuff is still kicking around because it's really well done, although most people don't really appreciate it any longer. Certainly this was very, very much about function. You know, it was just there, very utilitarian. It was where you got ready for the day, and it did what it had to do. So that's really what it was designed to do. That's what, and you can kind of take a look at it and say, yeah, it sure did. But the whole idea now is we're really creating this spa or retreat-like environment, primary bathrooms, even some of the secondary bathrooms and so forth, where we're getting into a lot of the design elements. There's a few of them here that you can see. We're going to cover a lot of the stuff, but there are some challenges to this, but these are really the changing needs. So certainly the large format tile is something that's on trend and still continues to be on trend. Seems like the tiles are just getting larger. If that's a design trend that you're following, certainly you're aware of that. Also, the wood look is still out there, the ones that look like stone. These pattern and caustic type of tiles are back in style on the floor. And even if you look on the left-hand side there, you can see an artfully placed design there of different colors and shades to get these type of looks. So these are all the design elements that are styles that you're starting to see. And again, in the fixtures themselves, matte black, the matte finishes in various shades are very popular and continue to. I find this kind of funny after being in the trade for so long. I thought we tore all that gold, that 80s gold out way back when, but no, it's back again. But they're a nicer tone, a nicer shade, softer types of metallics that are out there now. And of course, it says invisible drains, but the whole idea here is that you don't interrupt your style, your pattern. You just kind of sneak the drain in, and you can see them in the images up on the screen. So we'll take a look at both line drains and point drains, which you see in these 4 images. Also, these kind of custom design elements. This is where I was speaking about a lot of time when you try to incorporate these things with the old school methods, they were very hard to get a waterproofing and moisture management. You were using building materials that were water sensitive and so forth, but certainly these things are much easier to achieve, fit into the workflow, which means that it's not going to add a lot of additional cost or time to actually incorporate these sort of elements in there. Some of the other things, it's not really a design trend, but it's certainly a growing trend and something the consumers love is a heated floor. Certainly, if you have a heated floor, you're never going to want another tile job that isn't heated, and the bathroom would be the primary place for that. So we're going to take a look at introducing a warm floor, even the bench top and so forth into this environment too. Another one design element that's fairly new in the tile industry is the LED lighting, the low voltage way to add a lot of ambience into your space here. So here's some examples, and we'll go into all of these things. Curbless showers. Now, I did a presentation a couple of years ago for the NTCA in regards to curbless, and it was differentiating between simply leaving the curb out or doing barrier free, which is a design where there's no barrier to anyone of any ability or disability, physical disability. They can use the place, the same space. Universal design is incorporated into there. But certainly when you go curbless here, that's on trend too. And you can see here where the large format tile is carried right into the shower area. So it's non-broken with a different format. So keep that in mind. So when we look at these universal design, we certainly need to have functionality. In other words, however it works, it certainly needs to be manage moisture more than just water. It has to be in its vapor form and steam. And then we'll get into carrying these type of waterproofings outside of the shower environment. So if we look at maybe the sealed system to begin with, right, let's start there, why that's really happening. That's because the tile surface is not waterproof. Certainly you can see a lot of water sheet off of tile of any size. It's not really, but it's kind of water resistant, but it's certainly not waterproof. It will still allow water to go into it. So what you're really asking for in any tile system in a wet area is to have a design, have a certain system built into it that manages the moisture. So there's really two ways you can address this type of thing that are acknowledged by the tile industry. But this one is the one that's really growing in popularity, which is a waterproofing system that manages this moisture that's right on the surface. In other words, it's right below the tile veneer. So the tile is just simply a decorative wear surface that time. So they're waterproof and vapor tight. You can get these in systems from various manufacturers. A lot of prefab components, which again increase the workflow and the efficiency of the preparation time. And they are simple to train someone on how to do that. And many of the labor and trades are going into these because they are so labor efficient. So keep that in mind. So the original ones that have been around for a long time are called water in, water out, because they allow water to get in. Then there's a pan liner that traps the water, and then navigates it back down to the drain in secondary drainage called weep holes. The other systems are sealed up systems from the very top. Those are much quicker to put in. They're much more reliable, less risk involved in them. No water penetration beyond the tile surface because the tile, as you see in the image here, is bonded directly to the surface waterproofings. And then, of course, it prevents mold because there's no water that can dwell within these assemblies at any duration of time to actually promote mold and mildew growth. And of course, we'll take a look at this whole concept. They're ideal for doing barrier-free or curbless showers. So yeah, you can do a curved entry with these. In many cases, we're still building those. They're all still widespread and very popular. But the whole idea of taking the curbless is you kind of blurred that line to where what was traditionally wet and was traditionally dry, because you used to have a shower door, a curtain, and a curb. And if those are all gone, you're certainly going to have to look outside of that traditional wet area in the shower and say, what can we do outside there to protect those moisture sensitive building materials also? So the whole idea with these type of sealed systems, these surface systems, here you'll see a sheet applied one going right out onto a membrane that is also waterproof in itself. So if you treat all the seams between these, floor to wall, material to material, you do carry out the waterproofing far beyond what was traditionally the shower, the wet area. There is a detail in the Tile Council of North America handbook, well, a few, but I'm going to just highlight this particular one here. It's called 422C. And as you see here, the whole key is that there's what's called, the drain is called an integrated bonding flange. It's a drain that's specifically designed for surface waterproofings instead of the other ones that had a clamping drain assembly where they incorporated the waterproofing underneath the mortar bed that was put in before the tile was bonded to the mortar bed. These here are up at the surface, the drain flange is up on the surface, and that's really the missing link for many, many years that now allows us to really complete this waterproof system throughout. This is what I was speaking of, the old pan liners. They're still popular in many places, and a traditional shower, they're still used out there. But there's really no guidance from anyone on how to carry this waterproofing outside of the shower. Matter of fact, if you look in the handbook with those, you won't see any detail showing how to use a traditional two-stage drain and a pan liner and carrying the waterproofing outside of the shower area when you've taken out the curb and the door. So keep that in mind. Now let's look at these type of membranes that are available. They're available in sheets, but they're also available in a foam building pan. You'll see many different manufacturers out here. I've got two examples from two manufacturers on the left showing the sheet applied, two other examples of two other manufacturers that make a foam core building panel. Nice thing about those are they are totally waterproof at their surface as you install them. You just have to treat the seams and penetrations. They're waterproof throughout. They don't have any particular type of material within them that would make them water sensitive. So even to the core, they are all waterproof and they're ready to go. As you can see, you can put them directly over studs in this case, because this would be taking the place of a typical half-inch panel that you would put around the shower. And then there's also the membranes here. You just have to make certain that they're waterproof and vapor tight, that there's no organic material in them, and that's the ANSI number that you're going to look for on these particular materials, 11810S. S stands for sheet, and then there'll be a L, and that stands for a liquid applied one that you put on like painting with a roller or brush or a sprayer. So keep those in mind. The nice thing about these are they are ready to accept the tile after you put them in. They go directly over many, many kinds of suitable backings that you can apply them directly to. The same thing with the building panel. You don't have to put a panel up to put this in place. This is your panel that you can attach, as I said just a minute ago, to the framework if you want. And it gives you the dimensional stability that you want. You can see from the picture here that even when you get to the thicker building elements that you can use for benches and pony walls and so forth, the vanity tops, They're still very lightweight, easy to cut, no dust. Dust is a big issue on job sites these days. It goes in very quickly, and it's ready to have the tile bond directly to it via a thin set mortar. So here's some of the different thicknesses available from various manufacturers, and they're made in many different thicknesses depending on what you're going to do with that, and that'll unfold in the next few images, certainly. So here you got, as I said, shower enclosures, bathtub surrounds and decks, benches, vanities. There's all kinds of things that you can construct out of this type. So now let's focus on the drains that are available to incorporate this surface waterproofing. Certainly the point drains that have been around for quite some time, and they're still used readily, but there's all kinds of line drains available out there, and we'll go into that a little bit. And then actual custom length types of linear drains too. So the point drains are great. They've been around for quite some time. You can see from the little inset picture how you have plenty of surface area to incorporate the surface waterproofing right down onto the drain flange to carry out your waterproofing connection there. Lots of different grain finishes. Look at the tileable one at the bottom. Many manufacturers have something like this available where you don't even see a grate. There's no metallic or colored grate there at all. It's just another little piece of the tile. So that gives you more of that seamless and visible look too. So you can see that in the upper right-hand corner there. One of the tiles has been put over the top of a support, and then the water just drains around in what's kind of the missing grout line if you want to look at it that way. Then the line drains. The nice thing about the line drains is when we're using large format tile and we're carrying that same tile right into the shower area, you don't have to interrupt that and go to a smaller format. One of the downsides or limitations, I should say, of a point drain like I just showed you is that because of the dish or bowl shape of the shower pan area, you're limited to how big a tile you can put on that surface. But with the line drain, no limitation at all. It's one flat plane that just slopes down to the line drain, so you can see you can carry the same large format right into the shower area. One of the reasons it's really, really popular, by the way. And the amount of drain grate options, you can see here different types in metallics or finishes that will complement or blend into your tile that you select. Also, the tileable one on that is very popular too. You can see here, you can put those placements at the back wall. You can put them in the center of your shower going in either 90-degree angle. You could put them at the entryway, which is very popular because then you don't have to build up your whole bathroom floor to get a slope into your shower. These fit at the front of your shower and they just intercept the water as it's running towards the door. When there's no curb, there's no door, and it intercepts the water and it drops in there. So that's a very popular option there. The other ones are trimmable, where you customize and cut it to your exact length of your shower so you can get virtual wall to wall. So keep those in mind that they're available. Different types of great options are out there from various manufacturers. Here's just a little sampling of some of the designs that you could get in those. Now let's look at some of the other types of design elements that the consumer really wants. Shelves, benches, and we'll get into niches too. So these are really optional components. You can really build most of these with just a drain and a waterproofing sheet or liquid applied. But here, this is where you get into some of these options, these design elements that will either speed up preparation or enhance the actual design and beauty of the shower here. So various trays that are already waterproofing, that have the slope built into them that accommodate either point drains or line drains, as you see here on the screen. Benches. You can make your own custom-made benches, but many manufacturers have these in various shapes and sizes, so they're kind of plug and play. Again, speeds up the efficiency of the preparation. Niches, again, people just love to have niches in there. There's quite a bit of labor required into actually putting in a niche, from building it to tiling it to grouting it. This is certainly going to cut down on the amount of time it takes you to actually build your niche. And these come again in the foam core or very much waterproof materials from various manufacturers, and they're easy to incorporate right into your wall design. Here's just showing a few of them. Now we're going to introduce maybe some shelves that you would put in there if they're fairly tall, so you can have 2 tiers of storage in there. They go in when the tile is actually installed, and then, or you can get ones that fit in. There's no niche, but they're actually a shelf that sticks out. Like this one here, you can see the anchoring legs holding it behind 2 courses of tile. Corner shelves, again, that just go right into the grout lines. This is something that you can actually retrofit on a shower or tub area that's been in for quite some time too, so keep that in mind. And then there's the different sizes. You can see here vertical and horizontal in various sizes. The nice thing about this stuff is it gives the control of the substrate back to the tile installer, like back in the old days, back where I hearken from, where the tile setter would actually introduce a mortar bed to the vertical and horizontal surfaces and then bond tile directly to it. Since the tile setter actually built that, they had control of it because they built it themselves. Right now, we kind of are at the mercy of other trades to give us our substrate that we're gonna tile directly on. And then of course, it's not very plumb or square, or it certainly isn't waterproof. It's very moisture sensitive. So you're going to have to do some remedial work to these anyway, even if you're using this type of element. And even these type of boards here, again, water resistant. They won't break down even if they're totally soaking wet, but they still allow water to pass through and into the wall cavity. So keep that in mind. So that's where the foam panels come into play, because they are dimensionally stable. They're not affected by moisture. So keep those in mind too. And just some custom builds of stuff that you could build out of foam panels. You can see a vanity here, which also would meet the requirements, at least on the right-hand side, of someone in a wheelchair, so they could roll right up and get underneath that vanity. That could be the case. The tub deck below, you can see how you build this out of the foam core. There's no moisture sensitive building materials in these that can warp or rot, and they are waterproof throughout. Here's another one where they've incorporated in pony walls and a bench and a niche, and quite a lounge there in that lower image there that was built all out of this type of building material. And it's nice because you can have the installers put these in with your layout, so things will balance out and be very aesthetically pleasing. So keep that in mind. Now, this membrane that I've been talking about that carries out with outside of the shower, what you need for a tile to bond to it, you need something that's very stable, that won't change dimension, won't crack, won't allow any of the dimensional instability of the substrate below it to carry through and have an adverse effect on your tile veneer. So this does that. That's that first icon where you see the 2 arrows moving opposite. It also does not compromise the load bearing capability of the floor at all, but it also adds in moisture management from underneath. If you're doing a fresh slab, concrete slab, slab on grade, slab below grade, and then of course, waterproofing is the final icon we're showing you there. It's going to protect the moisture sensitive building material. In this case, it looks like maybe some plywood from ever getting wet or seeing any water. So keep that in mind. And then we can incorporate heat. So we add another icon to it saying it's going to actually hold the cable in place that you're going to use to heat the tile floor to make it very comfortable to walk on. So that you can add that icon. And if you wanted to go even further, if you have some concrete substrates from unit to unit, you can actually add in the sound control and some additional thermal barrier into the assembly too. So keep those in mind, that those are out there too to incorporate. Many of them are a glue down. Some of them can be peel and stick down, which again eliminates a material and an extra step in the installation for preparation for tile. So keep that in mind too. So how about some of the other things we're going to finish things out with? The edge protection, how about movement joints, how about just decorative profiles? The thing about so many of the tile that are on the market now, you have a huge variety of tiles as far as sizes and shapes and colors and textures and looks that are out there, but many of them do not come with any way to finish off the exposed edge that just is going to show the clay or the stone or the porcelain body. So there are several profiles out there that can do just that. So the nice thing about that is it really broadens your possibility for what you want to choose in these environments, because you're not limited to just the ones that come with some sort of tile trim. So here's a particular one that just simply covers up the edge of the tile that didn't have any glaze on it, or maybe was cut on the job site to fit, and you don't want that exposed edge there showing. Here we are showing it in two items here, up around the backsplash and here on the tub deck. A couple of examples here. Here's one that's more of a square edge that complements the tile, comes in various colors, finishes, textures. So keep that in mind. You can see it here on the niche, going in and actually making a sink out of a short little line drain and not having any sink of any sort in there, but just all tile and the profiles and the foam core to build that whole thing. So that's a really neat design element too. This is really nice that this channel actually holds the splash panel or the fixed glass panels in place, so you don't have the shower door people drilling holes in your waterproofing to put in clips or some sort of other fasteners. This just simply is installed by the tile setter right in place where you're going to put the panel, and then the panel is just placed in here in some sealant, usually might be like a clear silicone of some sort. You can see how that goes. Here's one that actually just goes straight off of the wall and gives you a panel that's a little bit different application there. And then movement joints, we want to be able to put something soft in there instead of grout. So there are pre-manufactured movement joints, and comes in various sizes, widths, colors to complement your grout or your tile. So keep in mind that those are different ones here. I like the one on the left where you're incorporating that in over a solid surface or a stone on your backsplash in, say, your kitchens would be an example, or up against the edge of a bathtub where a bathtub could be a restraining surface. So keep that in mind. Also, hardwood transitions. If you're doing a transition, you've got two hard surfaces, tile and wood. Both of those need a little bit of room to move on their own or move independently of the floor below them. This is going to allow you to actually address that movement requirement there. And some here, floor to wall connections, inside corners, keep those in mind that those are available also. And this does take away one of those ongoing maintenance issues that you have if you grout it and then the grout cracks and then someone has to come apply some caulking, and the caulking does have a lifespan that's pretty short and it needs to be tore out and replaced. I think many of you are aware of that whole thing here, so keep that in mind. So as far as the finishes and textures that are available on the market from many manufacturers out there, certainly you can find all of these things to suit your needs, to meet your design desires. So really unlimited design possibilities, opens up the design possibilities and your selection for so many other tiles, because this is the trim that you'll use to finish off the exposed edges, turn corners, terminate walls, and of course all of the drain grates you have, the shelves, the niche shelves, and all of these other design elements are all going to be part of it. And just some more examples of some of the different ones that come in the colors to complement that. So there you go. That really kind of ends up that presentation. Gives you a lot of examples of how you incorporate design elements, but still get the function required by the trades, like the tile setter and the plumbers and the different builders and so forth. So yes, we can have both. We can have both the design that everyone wants, and we can also have the function that we're required to have in these wet areas. So hope you enjoyed that. Jim, I'll turn it back over to you.
Andy, again, another very insightful and educational webinar that you presented to our attendees. I want to thank all of you for attending today, and please look forward to the invite to our next webinar coming up in a couple of weeks. So Andy, thank you, and I will be in touch with you with some follow-up on the webinar. Thank you.
Okay. Sounds great. I do want to thank everybody for taking their time, as you mentioned earlier, Jim, to join us. And yeah, please contact us if you have any other further questions.
Excellent. Everybody have a great rest of your week and weekend. Take care.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.